do, and the answer is going to be, eventually, we've got to do something about him.
All right. What she's saying is 18 days in, we should seriously consider grounds for impeachment. She tried to dial that back a little bit today, but not much. Fox News contributor Rachel Campos Duffy on that. She's not the only one, Rachel. What are we to make of this?
Well, I mean, I guess what they're trying to do, and you see this at some of the town halls, for example, where, you know, big crowds are showing up and congressmen are having to be escorted out. They're trying to say that this is about policy, the way the Tea Party was about spending or Obamacare. But it clearly isn't. This is about people who are having a big, giant venting session because they haven't coped with the fact that this man was elected president. And the reason, Neil, that I know that this is not about policy and that it's really about them being so angry about what just happened is that we didn't see any protests, for example, for the refugees when Barack Obama just out of nowhere on his last day out of office cut off the refugee status for thousands of Cubans who were escaping an evil dictatorship, who were left stranded in third countries, worried if they're going to be sent back there or not. Where were those protests? This isn't about some giant compassionate movement for the refugees. This isn't about climate change. This is simply them being angry about Donald Trump being elected, which is why they're already calling for impeachment.
Right. And she and others who are using that kind of language are citing these executive orders, yet not a one that I recall had argued taking the same action on Barack Obama's executive orders. They are a presidential right. You might not like presidents when they use it. Republicans certainly hate it when Democrats use it, and vice versa. But I think that is laying the groundwork for protest of this presidency because they are overreaching. What do you think of that?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm concerned about people like Maxine Waters and other people who are protesting, who are raising the temperature so high. I'm not just a Fox News contributor. I also happen to be the spouse of a member of Congress. And we have congressmen now that are being escorted by police who are afraid for their safety. We saw the violence at Berkeley, the kind of lessons that these students are being taught by their professors, the funding that's going behind this by radical progressive groups. These are not Birkenstock, peace and love liberals. These are the fruits of Bill Ayers and other radical progressive movements that often resort to violence. So I'm very concerned. And don't forget, Neil, when my husband was elected in 2010, 2 weeks later, a deranged Marxist shot Gabby Gifford.
That's
so
right.
I think the left needs to be very careful here about what they're fomenting, because the last thing we need is violence. And what these town halls and rallies are supposed to be about is civil dialogue.
Well, a lot of them, to your point, are seeking out escorts, someone to be with them, a police escort, because it's gotten so dangerous. And 70-odd number of them had skipped out on the inauguration. That's one thing, but it's quite another to send a message to your constituents that the guy you don't like, they shouldn't like, that the guy you think is not a legitimate president, they should conclude is not a legitimate president. That is a dangerous, slippery slope.
It is. And don't forget, it was at the Women's March where we heard Madonna say that, you know, she dreamed of blowing up the White House. We've known that there are countless attacks on Trump supporters, including high school kids. So this is something, they're playing with fire. Absolutely. And again, I'll remind them, these are fathers, these are mothers, these are grandmothers and grandfathers. We need to treat them as public servants with respect and have an open political dialogue instead of all this craziness and violence and escalation.
All right. Good having you on, Rachel, even under these wacky circumstances, but everyone's got it.